The last video spoke about the idea of deliberate creation, where you can control your thoughts to be able to deliberately control the things that show up in your life in the future. And the idea is to try and work towards this state of being able to see the link between your thoughts now and how thinking good thoughts can manifest as positive changes in your life in the future that you want. And you can deliberately create that state. The other thing, though, is that the reverse also happens. And sometimes it's sort of the non-deliberate, deliberate creator, where you, for some reason, find yourself stuck on negative thoughts, negative headspace, negative mindset, whatever it is. And in the future, you see that those thoughts have manifested as something in your life. While I started to get my head around this, it's quite a difficult thing to suddenly realize that everything that's happening in your life now is your responsibility, even the shit stuff. Because if the positive is true, the shit stuff that shows up in your life now is a function of the things that you haven't been good about thinking about that have got you to that point. So if you believe the first part, you need to believe the second part. And accepting those things, it's quite a difficult thing to do. The best way for me to understand these things now, looking back in hindsight and unemotionally, because your brain is really like a tricky character. It doesn't let you take responsibility for things in your life now. You know, that must be somebody else's fault. But when you can unemotionally look back at things in your past, and the one that did it for me was looking back in my life to the time I dated somebody crazy. And think back to the time when you dated someone crazy, like your craziest. We all have a crazy in our lives, and some of us have more than one crazy. Some of us can't get away from crazy. But when I think back to one of my craziest relationships, it was when I was in London. And at the time, I attracted this woman into my life. I didn't realize I'd attracted her. We met in a club. This whole thing happens. We start living together. And suddenly, like, I'm with this woman and we fight every single day, like crazy fights, like throw my shit out the window, I'm picking it up in the street below, that type of crazy fight. And at the time, I'm like, what is going on? And I get stuck in the cycle for a while of trying to understand. I was young, I was 21, she was a bit older than me. And I was trying to understand, like, you know, what's happening here? Why is it happening? And you still look for the good in the person and you persist with the relationship. The point of the story is I get out of that relationship after a few months, but when I look back at that, it's very clear to me now why this fucking crazy person was in my life. Because I was in a place in my life where I was fucking all over the place. Lots of drugs, working too much, no exercise, not balanced, focused only on money. My life was just a party, and yeah, like these self-destructive almost thoughts. Suddenly self-destructive people show up in your life, you start to clash and you can't understand why it's happening to you. It's very clear now looking back as to exactly why that happened to me. So once again, as you start to undertake this journey of becoming a deliberate creator, it might be good to spend some time in reflection, having a look at all the shit stuff that's happened to you in your past and taking a look at some clues as to see what are the thoughts that you thought about in and around that time, or the things that you were focusing on that brought those things, those situations, or those people into your life. Because it becomes clearer then to be able to be aware of what you're focusing on the present now, so that you can manifest good stuff and the very things that you want in your life in the future.